In this video, we're giving the CarGurus UK video review treatment to the recently facelifted DS3 E-Tense. Now, those of you who are familiar with the brand will notice that crossback has been dropped from the name, and the really eagle-eyed amongst you will notice the wider grille and redesigned lights. There's also a new, more efficient motor and a slightly larger battery pack. Now, it's hard to place the DS3 E-Tense when it comes to rivals, and it's even harder to argue anything other than it's really expensive. In terms of direct rivals, well, DS says the DS3 E-Tense has none, but given that you can get the Vauxhall Mokka-e, Jeep Avenger and Peugeot E2008, we'd have to politely disagree. All three are ultimately built by the same parent company as DS, that is Stellantis, with basically the same hardware but different styling, and in most cases a price tag that's a few £1,000s lower. Now, the price. I hope you're sitting down. Okay, this might be the top spec Opera model, but still it's £42,700, and with a couple of extras it's £43,675. Bearing in mind that a Tesla Model 3 starts at £43,000, and that's basically a BMW 3 Series rival. This car is on Vauxhall Corsa underpinnings. True, you can get lower spec trim levels for just over £37,000, but that's still a lot of money, especially when the entry-level petrol model is less than £26,000. In other words, £11,000 cheaper. That will buy you a lot of fuel. What do you get for all that dosh? Well, not a particularly big car, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because equating luxury to size is a habit we ought to get out of if we're going to live a little more sustainably. So at 4.2 metres long, it is not a very big car, it is fairly compact, but we still managed to get a decent sized boot. Here we have 350 litres. Fold the rear seats down and that increases to 1,050 litres, which is genuinely impressive. Although the boot loading lip is annoying, as is the fact that there's no dedicated compartment for stowing your charging cables. Talking of charging cables, when you do need more juice, this car will charge at up to 100 kilowatts, which means at a public charging station, rapid public charging station, it will take half an hour to get an 80% charge. And at home, with a 7 kilowatt wall charger, it will take about 7.5 hours. Also, that slightly enlarged 50 kilowatt hour usable battery capacity gives you a theoretical WLTP range of 270 miles. Now, it's unlikely you'll get that in the real world, but at least the DS3 features a heat pump as standard, which is a more efficient way of warming up your car in colder weather and should mean less range degradation in wintry weather. The trade-off for all that boot space is rear seat room. You can see just how short this door aperture is, and then once in, it is a bit squishy. Now, I'm 5'4.5". If you're 6 foot, you might just simply say, no, I am not getting in this car. Most super minis, including Fiestas, Polos and Skoda Fabias, have all got more space. The cramped feel is not helped by the small rear windows, big C-pillars and black-on-black colour trim either. If you need to carry rear seat passengers regularly, this is not a car for you. Up front, it still feels quite cosy, but that's more by design than lack of space. And on first impressions, it does feel and look quite premium. There's some padded leather seats, dual effect design. It's certainly different. Inspect things a bit more closely though, and there are some design features that step over the line from quirky to downright annoying. The electric window switches, for example, are poorly labelled, hard to use and alarmingly easy to confuse with the parking brake. And check this out, if you want to adjust the door mirrors, it is all the way down here, which is just awkward and in a really strange place. And despite being covered with gorgeous leather and being electrically adjustable, they are neither comfortable enough, supportive enough, or adjustable enough to truly be luxurious. On the positive side of things, you get oodles of equipment as standard. Every model gets climate control, rear parking sensors and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, for example, and most models get built-in sat-nav. In this top spec car, you can also get wireless smartphone charging, a head-up display, auto high beam lights and an advanced driver assistance pack that includes adaptive cruise control and blind spot monitoring. There are plenty of gadgets and gizmos, and we must say the resolution of the central touchscreen is really sharp, which makes the rear view camera particularly impressive. Downsides are that some of the menus can be a bit convoluted and it's hard to make some adjustments, and the climate control needs to be adjusted on this screen as well. Out on the road, the DS3 serves up most of the usual EV virtues and most of the common vices. This means that you get smooth and spirited acceleration from a standstill with enough power to comfortably cope with motorway speeds, but a limited top speed of 93 miles per hour. One downside of EVs is often weight, and the DS3 comes in at 1,550 kilograms, so it is quite hefty. In fact, it's 400 kilograms heavier than the entry-level petrol model. What that means is that sometimes the handling can be a bit off. For this car, there's quite a bit of body lean in the corners that isn't helped by some fairly soft suspension. That soft suspension means that the ride is reasonably comfortable, but it does occasionally bounce and jostle you along when you're on more roughly surfaced roads. There is actually plenty of grip. The energy efficiency of the DS3 is pretty good. Usually, driving on motorways saps the energy in an EV. This car, however, will cover 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty good. And then if you're doing a mixture of urban and country road driving and therefore making use of the regenerative braking, you'll cover about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, as a comparison, a larger EV, you'd be looking at about 3 and 3.5 respectively. The most powerful mode of that regenerative braking won't deliver true one-pedal driving like it does in some cars, but at least the brake feel is reasonably progressive. But the light feeling steering and body lean means you won't really be tempted to drive this car too enthusiastically. Plus, unless you're in sport mode, there's a little bit of extra accelerator pedal travel. So if you put your foot down on the accelerator pedal, you can then push it down even harder and full power is released. If it's in sport mode, not only does it slightly change the driver's display, but it also gets rid of that little extra pedal travel. So you can just put your foot down on the accelerator pedal and full power is released. So what do we think of the DS3 E-Tense? Sure, it's got its fair share of annoying quirks, such as poorly placed switches, irritatingly placed dials, a frustratingly small amount of rear seat space, and it's more expensive than its key rivals. Then again, it is very well equipped, feels pretty luxurious, and is reasonably energy efficient. In isolation, the DS3 E-Tense is a good car. The problem is its rivals are just a little bit better. Cars such as the larger and more capable Kia Niro and cars from sister brand Vauxhall, Peugeot and Jeep, which are mechanically similar and cheaper. What do you think? Let us know in the comments section or take a look at our video of the spacious and capable Kia Niro EV. And if you're considering buying a DS3 or indeed any car at all, head to cargurus.co.uk to find loads of great cars for sale from top-rated dealers. And with our super clever pricing technology, we'll even tell you whether it's a good deal or not.